All right, hello everyone. Welcome to part 2 of the recording. We got everyone here. We got Juan, we got me, we got CJ, and we got Gerald. Yeah,
Yo.
it's
Yo,
Huzzah!
huzzah. All right, well, Juan, you didn't get to introduce yourself last time, so now you get to introduce yourself this time for real.
it's me, Wonk, the one who told this to Derek, and Derek decided to go all in.
All right, yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so we forgot to give a reward to Mysterio last time, but we have trophies, so we're giving out our trophies. We'll bring to Deserted Island. Most dice thrown to dice thrown, and most nerdy to Mysterio. Okay, so with that, let's get on to our number 7,
Oh, yes. Ooh. Da-da-da.
the Sliver Swarm.
Sliver
Swarm.
Clever swarm.
Ah.
All right, well, Oakley, you didn't get to introduce anyone last time, so now we're making you do it.
Do it.
All right, Sliver Swarm. I made this brew before, but like way worse. So your goal with this hero is to build up these slivers, which are like passives that you yeet onto your board by paying combat points. Kind of like equipment cards. Um, and how you do that is you can play them. And then you're able to cycle through your deck by a slightly worse version of battle plan gaining, discarding the top card of your deck, and then you can like get mutations for free instead. Um, However, with mutations, they can go away if your attacker deals 8 or more damage with them. So like they slowly eat away at your kit. So you try to build up before they hit you, knock you down. Pretty cool sounding build up hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I think for
Cool sounding being the operative
yeah,
word.
cool sounding. Yeah, is the thing. There's a couple issues with this kit we can see. These being all the slivers. There's a lot.
Yes.
Having no basic cards.
Yeah, there's a
which
lot of
is- or-
slivers.
No main cards. I mean, there's basics. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's the basic cards, the promo, and then a billion equipment,
Yeah.
basically.
So
Oh,
I think that this character is one of the best implementations of this concept, which is a relatively common concept in Dice Throne that we've seen, custom Dice Throne, of just having like a bunch of like extra little things that'll constantly help you, and like the sort of permanent scaling throughout the game. I think the kit does a lot to make this work a lot better than it could otherwise. A lot of these things are going to be happening like during the same timing window. As you see, a lot of these happen like during offensive roll phase. Like, a good half of them happen during offensive roll phase, which helps to really simplify when they are relevant.
It does mean there's a lot of things you got to keep track of, though.
Yeah. But because like a lot of it is happening during the slivers same offensive roll phase, it's not nearly as bad as if like these all had unique timing windows, right? So I think that
Right.
a generally pretty good job was done at making sure the mental load wasn't nearly as high as it could have been. However, like there is still a lot of the intrinsic issues that come along with this sort of concept of just having so much passive value out, right?
yeah. I do think some of the main issues are the recursive. The main thing, regenerating sliver being the recursive sliver, making it to where you can never lose a sliver. It's
Yeah.
like you always have access to your best slivers. So your opponent attacking you really doesn't do much because your economy isn't that tight.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
bad with like these two in particular.
Yeah.
Metal Hide Sliver, now you just never have to discard, so you keep your engine forever. And Regenerating Sliver, it has its own sort of issue, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it is a pretty big deal gameplay wise, but design wise, we're not going to dock a ton of points for it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So let's go ahead and go into scoring. So first of all, we have Opponent Fun at a 9 out of 30.
you get pretty overwhelmed, and you have no choice in the matter.
Mhm.
It's
So
kind of deterministic on whether or not they're going to get their slivers.
yeah, so go on, Wong. You can talk about like why we gave the score to slivers.
Um, yeah. With the point of you're able to go through your so it's like the generic Dyson problem of going through your whole deck. Will eventually get to where you can deterministically get all of your cards, and heroes like Cyclops do it pretty decently. Because you prioritize cards differently per game. Here, you have your best slivers, um, and then you kind of the other ones are just massive value. Like everything's worth it. Nothing's not
Yeah,
worth it, and there's no
yeah,
sequencing involved
yeah. It's
really.
basically just race Sliver Swarm, try to kill them before they get one or two slivers out, and if that's the case, then they basically win the game.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I don't think they're too strong, were they? I don't remember.
So the numbers
Uh,
are actually like low enough that it's not the
Yeah,
opponent doesn't have a chance. It's more so that once you stop having a chance, it's so
it's
Jover.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
again,
It's just no interaction.
yeah, but their numbers are fairly low, which means they won't even have the DNC to make it end quickly.
So we compare this to someone like Black Widow. The way that Black Widow gets stronger a lot of the time is by making her kit deal more damage. However, the way that Silver Storm does it, Silver Storm also does a good chunk of increasing its offensive potential, but it also increases its defensive potential, which in general is going to be quite rough. Uh, so I don't exactly recall what was the. Oh yeah. So like this, for example, I would call defensive potential, in which you just have your opponent not be able to do stuff because they're discarding cards at random. It's not nearly again. It's not as bad as the other homebrews that take it in this sort of direction, which have like constant scaling stuff. But yeah, it still is a lot of value. It still is just like so much value that it is often overwhelming, and I guess it's like it doesn't go far enough. Like the way that Black Widow does it is that she really scales up her offense, right? And then the game kind of snaps to a shut. While because Silver Storm's numbers are relatively low and like a lot of the value isn't converting to damage very easily, then it does feel like it can drag on. Especially if because like adaptation you can use this to heal as well. So, yeah.
We never talked about Swarmed.
Yeah, you can talk about Swarmed if you like.
All right, cool. Swarmed the token I think is kind of interesting, with the dealing damage based on what you roll during the roll phase itself. Although I'm personally not the biggest fan of tokens like this because the opponent needs to be like, all right, I roll all my. Let me move this. All right, I roll all my dice. Let's see what I got. Are there any ones? No. Are there any sixes? No. All right, time to every single roll you take, you have to look. Did I get a 1 or did I get a 6 to determine the effectiveness of this passive token?
Mm-hmm.
It slows the rolls down a fair bit and adds a lot of kind of extra load that may or may not kind of mess with somebody and their like dice math.
I don't think it. Yeah, I think that's like fine. Kind
Yeah,
of like that happens with. It's just a little bit more tedious than like, in barbed vine or constrict.
yeah, it's slightly more tedious, but that kind of goes into the rest of this here.
Yeah, there's a lot to
Yeah.
keep track of still, and it still is like, it still is just a ton of value that you're just kind of drowning in, and it does feel like you're just being suffocated to death, and not like you're being like not like the game gets to end particularly easily, right?
Uh, I think
So
mechanics theme.
yeah, so that's why it's 9 out of 30,
Yeah.
right? It's not like 15 out of 30 is kind of like this is like fighting against a puddle of water. It's like a little worse than that, but it's not like actively so unfun that it's like we're having a terrible time, right? It's an okay time, but we feel that it would get old pretty fast. It does get old over the course of a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd
Well,
rather fight Black Panther.
yeah, Black Panther's a fun
Yeah.
fight to go against.
Hey.
Yeah.
So mechanic slash theme.
Yeah.
So the mechanic for this one was the custom cards of the slivers, and the theme is transformation. So like how much of the character feel like it changes over the course of the game. We give this one a 15 out of 20.
Pretty good at the transformation thing.
Yeah, it does that pretty
it's
dang
pretty
well.
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, and like this actually is a fairly solid idea for a unique card, like a unique card type rather.
Yeah.
Like that they don't actually just sit on the board, but they are just still kind of passive benefits.
Yeah.
It's definitely a novel way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. I'll say that it definitely stumbles in a couple of these, as we pointed out. A couple of these I think are a lot stronger than is really anticipated. In particular,
Yeah.
Metal Hide and Regenerating Sliver, making it so that you can't really Metal Hide in particular makes it difficult to interact with the mechanic at all. Well, like impossible, because now they just take damage
Regenerating
instead.
Sliver costing 0 feels like a grave oversight.
Yeah, this is a pretty big oversight. So obviously you can play this and then take all your slivers back from the discard that you've been discarding over the course of the game. But also, as this is in play, it makes all of your slivers cost 1 less because you can sell it and then play it. So yeah, this is extremely powerful as is. And yeah, it definitely results in feel like your opponent feel like you can't interact, right? Like, oh, I discarded your best sliver that was like really messing me up in the matchup, and then it comes back because of regenerating, and then we play Metal Hide, and now you can never kill them ever again. It's like, okay. Oh, go on, Gerald.
That's kind of accurate to the Sliver Swarm from Magic, though.
Yeah, but it being accurate doesn't mean that like it doesn't have to be accurate to be in Dice Throne and feel accurate, right? Because in Magic the Gathering, you have access to full board clears or like counter spells and all this interaction. In Dice Throne, you don't. So this doesn't really feel true to slivers because slivers are typically more interactable. Because the game engine is more interactable. So it's a match Dice Throne. It has to be different.
Yeah, you can't. What stats affects the mutation cards?
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept.
What if slivers were status effects?
All right.
Scary.
So next up we have engagement. We have a 9 out of 20 for this. So does anyone want to talk about the engagement score?
It gets fairly deterministic after a while. Like after playing for a second, you're like, it's kind of like Gambit or. It's like, yeah, regenerating sliver, boom. Like once you get regenerating sliver, you no longer have to worry about playing your slivers.
Yeah, your economy
or
gets way more
sequencing.
free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and another thing I like to bring up is that, like, and in the beginning, it's when you have 1 or 2 slivers, it's like cool. It's like a couple extra little bits of pieces that you have to keep in mind. But then, like, especially late game, once you have 4, 5, 6 slivers out, it means you have like 6, 7 passives to try to keep track of, and all of them do slightly different things, and all of them have slightly different activation conditions. And it's just like, if you want to get value out of them, you got to keep track of all of them. And at least for me, that also very much kind of gets rid of it, because it's less about playing the game. Like, you start to very much not care about what the other person's doing, and it's just like, okay, so it's just keeping an eye on what things are able to trigger and what's not, and if it triggers, like, how much does it have an impact, and a lot of extra tracking.
Yeah, so definitely at some point, you just kind of deterministically get like so much value from this stuff because like all of this, like each of these can generate like 2 delta a turn as they're out if you're really hitting them properly. And then like obviously you get like what 9 delta during an offensive roll phase, like defendable, so really like 7. Once you get like 4 of these out, then you're just kind of drowning in stuff. And that happens like basically every game with this, which is, you know, sort of the concept with slivers, right? So it's not like the worst thing ever, but I do find that often the rolls feel a lot samier than I'd expect, given how like these are supposed to throw a wrench in your offensive roll phase, like, ooh, makes things more interesting or difficult. Instead, this often kind of makes it just feel like you are chasing very particular abilities to synergize with very particular slivers over and over, and then it makes it safer. And yeah, so I definitely feel my engagement waning. It's not the worst again, right? So why it's 9 out of 20.
Yeah,
because like
it could have been worse.
Yeah,
Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, but it still is okay. So next up we have Elegance. So here we actually give a 7 out of 15, which is again middle of the road. I think this is actually an interesting score, right? Because like you might expect it to be lower because this has so much stuff going on at any given time, but we did find that in general, what is on the kit contributes to the kit. Still, it does feel like having all of these like different passive triggers is a lot, right? And also, as Gerald mentioned, like Swarmed is like a cool token, but it's a lot to keep track of. And same with like adaptation having all these options, it doesn't really feel like everything here is overall contributing. Like if you look at the one token effect adaptation, it's typically the best one. Like letting you just look at 3 of them and then putting a mutation in, that's just really good, especially because you have so many mutations in your deck, right? And you're like always, yeah, you're almost always hitting that one. And like
It
later
feels
on,
like,
eventually do that, and then you slow the game to a crawl. Sorry, what? Go on.
Oh yeah, I was like, it feels like each of these are like kind of jokers in Balatro, but the fact that you have so many and you're allowed to put all of them out at once is like crazy. Like imagine having like
It's
every
it's
single
it's cryptid Balatro.
yeah, like you cannot keep track.
Or maybe even Jen's Almanac. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like you can't even like keep track. Like maybe if like there was a limit to the amount of like mutations you could have, that'd be awesome. And like
Yeah,
you kind of just like choose.
Yeah, I think that's some sort of way to make the kit a bit more limited or like generally more interactable would be good. There's definitely a lot of ways to take it, and I don't think I don't think we have an
there's so many.
easy answer, right? So finally, for uniqueness, we have 8 out of 15.
Middle of the road.
Yeah,
You've seen it before, but this time it's better.
I agree. So in terms of like brews that just constantly get out, more and more passive value, it's not like this has never been done before. This has been done plenty. However, I think that this is a pretty solid execution, and it's going to be difficult to find many brews that do this sort of concept as well as Sliver Swarm does. So we get it. We all don't like the regenerating sliver.
None of us like regenerating sliver. We understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that after a couple of polishing iterations of just like trying to make these feel a bit better and make stuff like make the character feel more fragile, I think is a big thing. Because right now it feels very, very durable. If it's like more fragile and more aggro, I think it would go a long way in really helping this character succeed. Any other comments?
Not really. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, we did give this a 48 out of 100. And we have the award most body mass to brain cell ratio. So we just have a ton of slivers, and they're all not particularly smart, but there's a lot of them, and we love them for that.
Yep.
Oh, right. We also did the rest of the awards, as you can see. Wait, I think we already said that. Oh, well. Say lobby.
You said that.
Yep.
Sounds like something I would have already said. All right. Let's move on to number 6. For number 6, we get Hazel and Magnet. So I'll go ahead and introduce this character. So the main gimmick of Hazel and Magnet is that you have this Magnet companion who starts at 5 health, has a maximum of 6, and every turn during your upkeep you have to play one of these. So of these 3 cards, they all will deal 2 damage to Magnet. 2 of them will have a way to avoid that damage if you spend Foresight or discard 2. And they also come with some benefit. Drawing a card, healing 2, or inflicting void on an opponent. So with Starlight... Oh, yeah. Also, when Magnet reaches 0 health, you die. You just lose. Just straight up.
Straight up lose?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so Starlight, you can spend 2 Starlight to heal Magnet for 1, or perform the effects of the topmost card in Magnet's discard pile without dealing damage to Magnet. And you avoid... Okay. And that effect's also untouchable. So yeah, you use this, keep Magnet alive, or to get some kind of value, like healing 2 or drawing a card. Foresight. what this one does is during your offensive roll phase, you spend it and you look at the top card of your deck, or I guess you reveal it, and based on what it is, you get a different benefit. You either like draw a card, get a So Wild,
Get a
increase,
tidbit.
or get a tippet, or get an additional roll attempt. Most of the time, it's gonna be an extra roll attempt, but you do have, or like a card draw. But you do have ways to manipulate this, in particular with negative space, which lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and then put them back. Finally, you have Void, which you put it onto your opponent's board, and then during their upkeep phase, it'll move to one of their numbers, and that number is considered Blink. And it moves the number dependent on the health of Magnet. So that is the sort of core mechanic of the kit. We have the theming of Doomed and the mechanic of custom Magnet cards. So, does anyone have, I guess, anything to add about how the character like generally functions?
Not specifically.
Alright, so let's go into the scores. We have opponent fun at a 16 out of 30. So does anyone want to talk about why we got the score?
If 15 out of 30 is like fighting a basic character, then 16 out of 30 is like fighting a slightly spicier basic character.
Yeah, like the kit itself is, for the most part, fine. With technically, it's like it kind of encourages you trying to stall out a little bit because your Hazel is partly fighting you and partly fighting to keep Magnet alive because the instant he dies, Hazel loses the game. So in a sense, it's almost like you could just not try to actually fight Hazel at all and just wait.
Yeah.
So
Makes it like slightly less damage oriented. And also it's just like there's nothing particularly out there with Hazel. No interaction that feels terrible. Void is it's not given out too much, so it doesn't feel bad. When it gets inflicted, and it's not like Hex where it applies to all effects. So Void's kind of there. It hurts on 3 and 4. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's interesting to fight against at least.
I really
Yeah.
like Void.
yeah, Void's a cool
Void
status
is a
effect.
neat. Void
Sorry,
is a
go.
very neat effect, even if it can be kind of awkward to actually work with.
Yeah, definitely like the timing of moving it to your board, then moving it to your leaflet based off of Magnet's health, and then during your roll phase you can't use it, but it's a different number. You have to remember what it is. It's a bit much to keep track of, but definitely not the worst in terms of gameplay. Yeah, my main criticism is probably going to be like the memory issues, right? Another reason that this didn't score particularly high, beyond just like, the only sort of real interaction is Void, and the fact that you kind of like taking your time against Hazel, is the fact that Hazel can just randomly explode sometimes. Sometimes she just like draws reduction 3 times in a row, and then you win. Yay! I guess it's not particularly fun when that happens. Sorry.
You just kind of sit there and you're like, oh, that happened. I did not do anything to deserve this.
Yeah. So that's not the most fun when that does happen. Even though, like, yes, Hazel does have ways to play around that, it doesn't really feel like you get to influence what is going on a whole lot. It's just like you get sometimes this one singular status effect, and otherwise you're playing against someone who is a pretty fundamental, does damage until someone dies kind of hero. So, yeah, 16 out of 30, it's fine. Next up, we have mechanic/theme. We gave this a 13 out of 20. All right. CJ, I'm going to harass you. I'm singling you out.
Like, fair enough. Yeah, so as we kind of established, the theme for Hazel and Magnet is Doomed, and the mechanic is the unique cards. 10 out of 10 for the actual theme, because Magnet is doomed, full stop. He is inevitably going to hit 0 health, and all the impacts that come with is very, very cool. But again, very much hampered by how sometimes you can just lose without anyone to actually fight it because of reduction because of how small his deck is. It's a very real chance of just not being able to do anything, and you just immediately die, and that very much stinks. That is very much a feels bad.
I will also note that like just a mechanic being a downside isn't necessarily a bad thing. However,
Yeah,
you look at these other
definitely.
two cards, right? Like all three of these cards, I think, kind of have issues. Cause and effect, making you need to spend foresight feels bad because it's like
You
spending
don't get to
foresight
use it.
on this is much higher value, quote unquote, than spending it in like any of these ways except for maybe having a so wild, right?
Yeah, but then what are the odds of actually having an instant on top of your deck, though?
Relatively low, and you know that, and you basically can't do it if you're getting this because you're drawing a card and it messes up your ordering with negative space. But
Exactly.
either way,
And then the other issue with attraction is discarding 2 cards means that you are incentivized to not play the things you draw. You just want to sit on them, not engage with, not use your basics or anything else because there's a chance that you will the 1 in 3 shot that you draw attraction and have to discard 2 to not like chunk your companion.
yeah.
And that also stinks.
So ultimately, the way that this kind of boils down is you don't really want to engage with your cards or your foresight, both of which leads to the character feeling quite like rough to play and like very much like you're just sort of fundamentally rolling your dice and seeing what you get instead of really having much agency in like, oh, I get to like spend the resources or like play the game. You just kind of have to, have this stockpile for Magnet's well-being. So, yeah, the mechanic basically falls flat for us because the player has such low control over it, for one, and for two, the way that you are encouraged to play with it makes the game less interesting and not more interesting. Okay?
Yeah.
So next up, we have engagements, which we give this an 8 out of 20. So would anyone like to clarify the score?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
Engagement being this number, the biggest issue has already kind of been gone over in the previous section about what causes this character to have a hard time engaging with. Foresight, very cool. Starlight, potentially interesting. Problem, you want to spend Starlight and Foresight to make sure that Magnet doesn't explode. Because if Magnet explodes, then you just kind of have to live with, or you just kind of lose, which,
Yeah.
I'll live with it by
and
not living.
And even without the risk of Magnet just exploding, Hazel's board is kind of rough. It's not the most forgiving, and that can definitely cause some awkwardness.
Yeah. Magnet encourages you to actively not engage with most of your fun stuff, including playing cards and using all of your tokens. So therefore, the only things that your moves actually do is prevent Magnet from dying, deal undefendable, prevent Magnet from dying, draw a card, actually this is just prevent Magnet from dying. Deal 7 damage, maybe prevent Magnet from dying. And then deal 7 or 9 and prevent Magnet from dying.
Yeah,
But even Shine doesn't even get you that far because the small straight only gives you 1 spell and you need 2 to heal him.
Yeah.
So it's basically just small straight deal 7, large straight deal 9, stop Magnet from dying.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And like,
go
on.
If you like preventing Magnet from dying, then this is a great character.
Yeah. I definitely, that's a very astute observation that like so much of the kit kind of devolves into stop Magnet from dying, and like Magnet does provide notable value in like while he's like flailing around, like healing you for 2, drawing you a card, inflicting void. All of these matter, right? And like this character technically does have games which are like numerically close, but it never really feels like I'm really having a good time because it's like, oh, let's say I did my small straight, I did 7 damage and I healed for 2, and that was my turn. Like that's like completely fine on paper, and it results in numerically close games. But in the moment of doing it, it's like I'm smacking for 7, and my companion is dying. It's not particularly fun. It feels kind of like barbarian in that sense of just like you're activating abilities that do damage, and then like you're fighting tug of war with Magnet. Okay. Finally, we have the uniqueness score for Hazel. And for uniqueness, we have a 12 out of 15.
I think we skipped elegant.
Ooh, elegance, my bad.
Yep.
All right, elegance
Elegance.
was a 13 out of 15, so I will simply... Oh, yeah, that works. Yeah!
Grab
Yeah.
the purple.
Yeah.
It cracks out.
Hell yeah. I like the purple. We should go with purple from here on out.
Yeah,
Definitely.
agreed.
Purple is an amazing color. Let me grab a slightly darker purple.
What?
Nah, it's a fine purple.
I'm grabbing a slightly darker purple.
Okay, yeah, up to you.
Okay.
All right. Let's have someone else talk about elegance.
I mean, I guess I can say is that everything in the kit feels reasonably playerful. Everything contributes to it in some way. It kind of ignoring the whole read the back leaflet, which very much does both give artist intention and very much alter how the hero plays. But we're kind of trying to ignore that aspect of it because it is a very different kind of hero with the way it plays from what is on the back.
It's kind of like we don't really know what to judge with Hazel, and we just decided to judge first play experience because, that's how we're judging every other hero, right? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to judge Hazel as 2 different heroes because reading that cleave, it does mechanically change the hero, but yeah. We're just going to judge it as it's been presented, right?
Yeah. While it is a very touching message and it's a very noble goal, it's not really the...
Yeah. We're not really here to talk about the back leaf, but we're here to talk about elegance.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Elegance.
Exactly.
I mean, just saying. All of these tokens here work pretty well. Or these 2 tokens work pretty well for going into your main gameplay. Void actually working with Magnet's health is very cool. Foresight on its own is quite interesting. And I mean, I think the board is mostly fine with allowing you to actually access your stuff.
Yeah, I do. It's kind of engagement more. I wish hold hands was like being 4Bs is like pretty tough. So it's like trying to fall back into not dealing damage and like getting it's like kind of the goal with that ability is to like, oh no, Magnet is dying, I need to fall back and get it. It's like pretty freaking hard
Yeah.
for doing that. Like if it was like I think if you switch this to Horseman board, it'd be really fun. It's like kind of funny. I think it'd be better.
Of course, the Horseman pilled person says you should make the board Horseman.
Everything should be Horseman, just say. I mean, it is the best board, but...
in general, when it comes to a board, the more difficult something is, the less player expression there's going to be. Because as the board gets more difficult, the player is forced to take what they can get, right? Same thing with like 3-1-1-1 heroes, same sort of concept. You can't reliably get what you want, so you're not going to shoot for like pivoting into something else. That's a lot of tension with Hazel and Magnet because they definitely want to change their priority based off of, the situation with, oh, how much health do I feel like comfortable sacrificing on Magnet? Like, how much do I need to force this? But this being a relatively difficult ability means you can't force it, right? And like all of these abilities here, like the 3 abilities in excess of what's typically on the board is difficult. This is very much like Artificer, which only has like 2 pretty difficult abilities in excess of his basic stuff. Which does often end up like, you know, you roll one double team or something, or like you are close to double team. It's like, but I needed to hold hands if I don't want to die to like a potential reduction. But like, you know, you can't easily just like force this, right? And like even if you do, it's not a particularly exciting ability. Like it is good on paper. It's got like a lot of stuff on it, but yeah, definitely not particularly the most fun to play with because of just
Because
how
of deal
difficult stuff
damage.
is. And it's like, oh, I want to change my gameplay based off of the situation, but I can't afford to do that because I don't have the space to like choose between different abilities, and I can't spend my foresight on doing that either because then I might just die. Go on one.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, and also being so hard and dealing like no damage. I think there's a little bit not enough value here even for 4Bs. Um, like yeah, it's a lot of value because Magnet is dying, but that's like the issue of Magnet dies too quickly core.
Hmm.
I think like if you're gonna like yeah, it's just this force damage hurts.
Okay.
So that just hurts the roll objectives.
But yeah, elegance I think kind of mostly goes without saying that's pretty high, right? 13 out of 15. Uh,
Yeah.
in terms of like what doesn't contribute to the kit, like, you know, these cards do literally make the kit function, but like they have room for improvement. And like I'll say that the two Starlight effect on the two Starlight effect just not healing Magnet and doing like either healing two or drawing a card typically feels kind of bad. And doesn't really feel like it adds a whole lot to the kit other than like a way to spend stuff out. I think that the feeling of inelegance that's currently here of like stuff not contributing is very tied up with the engagement and like why stuff isn't particularly engaging at the moment. So, all right. And finally, we have uniqueness, which we have at a 12 out of 15. So if anyone wants to yap about that.
I mean, I kind of
mean,
mentioned it before. It feels like you're both fighting your opponent and also fighting with Magnet a little bit, which is a very much novel gameplay experience.
yeah, it's like the opposite of Nira.
Yeah.
It
Um,
basically is, yeah.
in that
A
sense, it's like
detrimental
yeah, it's
a companion that's
yeah.
strictly detrimental.
I mean, it's not strictly detrimental with this stuff, but it feels
I
strictly
it
detrimental.
feel yeah, that's what I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I don't think many people have done it before. It's like kind of like Mob.
Um,
Um, yeah, it's like Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather play Mob, but that's like a whole other beast.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
to keep it kind of on track, the uniqueness of the character is relatively high. The reason that's not like 15 out of 15 is because when you like kind of boil down the character as noted, you just kind of do these fundamental deal 7, deal 9, deal 9, get like Starlight Foresight. And
Yeah,
yeah, the character kind of boils down to feel kind of basic damagey. And then, like, you know, the kit kind of is self defeating in a sense with you getting these resources that you're spending on keeping Magnet alive, and then Magnet like tries to explode and you try to stop it, and then it doesn't feel like you're making much actual progress beyond just these abilities doing some amount of fundamental damage, which then like because you're not because you're not having much agency in how this is going down, the kit feels a lot more generic than it has the potential to be. All right. So overall, we have given this a 62 out of 100. Oh, sorry. Yeah, purple. Of course. How can I forget?
oh, we must all have unique colors. Since
I guess if that's how we're doing it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that would be fun, right?
I don't know. It sounds fun. We're giving you the Square Hole Award. If I remember to edit this, I will put the clip in.
Ah.
Oh my
It's funny.
God.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. All right.
I'll try to remind you.
All right.
Let me Oh, thank you.
Thanks for cleaning up after me. And next up,
All right.
we got number 5.
It opens from this side.
Oh, the temptation
Yeah.
to give Springtrap an 87 out of 100. However, that is not what Springtrap scored.
That's
Sadly.
also why.
Okay.
All right.
CJ, not CJ, Gerald, you both have like J's in your name, you know?
Sure. Sure.
Is that
From
the bite?
now, I am Steve.
Yes, go ahead and introduce Springtrap.
I assume most people already know who Springtrap is as a character. Anyway, mechanics time. Let's start with his primary mechanic, and get into it later. But agony. Oh, this is locked again. As you use abilities on your board and just during your income phase, you will increase your agony. Agony will increase the damage you both deal and take, equal to the amount shown here. Once you reach 7, you do the Black Panther thing and explode, drawing 2 cards, gaining your second token, and dealing 5 damage. Is it 5 damage to both
7.
cards? 7
Hey,
damage to
both
both
plays
cards.
it's 7.
Thank you. Remnant then allows you to spend it to heal, to hopefully not kill you. Gain CP, draw a card, and gain the third ladder, Resurrect, which
Is from
allows you
Necromancer.
to allows you to
Just-
come
just-
back with 5 health.
You don't die, but you don't do any CP stuff.
Yeah, you don't die, but you lose out on a bunch of stuff. Is that everything? I think that's.
I mean, out for the leaflet, yeah, and the board is just numbers.
Yeah, the board is gain agony, deal damage, gain agony, deal damage, gain agony, deal damage, deal CP. Gain agony, deal damage, gain agony, deal damage. You know.
You also get to
Very
deal damage and get combat points. And maybe Remnant.
Yes.
I wonder who this reminds me of.
Yeah. Also, this board is very familiar.
Oh my god, is that Black Panther?
I wonder who it reminds me of.
Yeah. Anyway.
Holy crap. Holy crap, Lewis.
Oh my god. That is all of the mechanical elements of the character. Oh, and
Of course.
hilarious ultimate.
Yeah, even though it's not Springtrap at all. That is the Bite of 87 guy, but
Is that the
I
bite
have
of
been
87?
told that he is somewhat related, but not.
somewhat. But he's not
It-
like the Crying Child, and he's not.
Who
He's
is
the
the
guy who
crying
made the thing
child?
that did
What
the
is
thing.
what
I
is
guess,
anything in the
technically,
story?
sorta.
It's about a bear.
It is now.
Sure, yeah, sorta.
Anyway,
Don't worry about it. Is that the bite of 87? Yeah, it does 8
that's
damage
it's
and
like-
7 agony.
It's like
crazy.
Hatsune
Ah,
Miku.
yes.
Every single interpretation is canon.
deal damage, gain agony. I can't believe it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and haha, funny. It deals 8 and gains 7. Ha.
I
Haha.
don't know what you're talking about. I laughed at it when I looked at it, but let's actually go over the points now.
Yeah.
All right, Springtrap. Opponent fun. We have this at an 18 out of 30. So,
I mean, it's just normal dice thrown,
yeah,
but faster because numbers go higher.
and you get to look at Springtrap to explode sometimes. It's kind of funny. It's not. It's like a little bit more interesting to go up against because it's like you're on a timer. You want to always be attacking because you're getting value from agony. That's about it.
For fun to fight against, you also a bit thing here is that you as the opponent do not want to use econ abilities typically.
Yep.
Because agony increases damage on all attacks. So anytime you don't attack him, that's you whiffed on agony
Yeah.
value.
It's damage you're leaving on the table.
Yeah, which is kind of neat.
Yeah,
Makes
and
the
the,
game feel fast.
Yeah, and given how high numbers can actually sort of get with Agony, like you not taking advantage of it is a huge loss.
so yeah,
5
it's
turns at Freddy's.
5 turns at Freddy's. Yeah, it's fast. It's funny. It's probably not the most well put together thing, but like it's still not a bad time. I can smile when going up against Springtrap, right? It's a goofy time, and it's not like it would get old eventually, but it is still an okay time.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the mechanic slash theme. So the mechanic being the agony dial, and the theme being doomed. So yeah, we gave it a
I got
13 out of 20. Walk. Do you
Ag-
want to talk about the
Agony is
theme?
The theme.
Yeah. I'm putting the ball in your court, motherfucker.
All right. I want to know
Yeah.
what the theme is. Holy shit! You are Springtrap. You are the guy who made Freddy Fazbear. And look what's look what's happened to you. Look what's happened to you. You just so happen to be in pain. You know why? You're in a fucking Springtrap suit, and
Springtrap
you are in
suit.
pain. The more pain you are in, the more agony and pain you're in. Of course, you're gonna deal more damage, motherfucker. And also, yeah, you're taking damage. You're in fucking agony. A remnant of yourself. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. You
It's not a
look at
remnant of yourself. Remnant
well, it's
is
the remnant of
a
yourself. It's the
different
remnant
thing.
of the. It's the remnant of the. What do we call it?
So okay, more
What's the
FNAF lore
lore? I
time.
don't. What's the? Okay, do we need to go more into the FNAF lore? I don't think we need to.
Okay.
Fazgoo.
I could get very quick with this. Agony is basically just what is allowing him to be a zombie,
Yeah.
and Remnant is what he's looking for to not die while being a zombie, which, you know.
Yeah.
Well, he's
I
still
believe
alive.
Oh yeah, I believe this is like Child Souls or whatever.
Something
But
like that. Yeah.
something edgy like that. It's
It all comes back to dead kids.
Yeah.
It's all coming together, Kronk.
FNAF is a sci-fi story, not a horror story.
correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they just
but
invented sentient AI. Like,
well,
Yeah, I
anyway.
forgot about Glitch Trap. Yeah.
Yeah. We got Resurrect doing the thing
White.
with not dying.
We have two.
I don't know why we have two.
Springtrap.
Springtrap mirrors the best fight.
3 turns at
They end
Freddy's.
so quickly.
Deal 25. Deal 25. That's game.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. We're brain rotting too
Yeah.
much, I think.
Yeah. No, but anyway, mechanics slash theme. The mechanics also are like so. The theme is pretty freaking solid. As you can see. Mechanic. Mechanics. It works. I don't think so. We have the thing with the resurrect, right, and interacting with remnant.
Yeah.
The problem is so the way Necromancer does it with Resurrect is you have corpses, right, that you spend for other effects and then go up into a Resurrect's worth of value. It's very small though. It's not very granular. Or is that the way to use it? I think so.
It is
Um,
small increments is very granular.
Very granular. Okay, it's very granular. But this is not very granular. So you have your heal two delta, you have your 3 delta, your like 4-ish delta, and then you have your not dying delta, which is like another turn, so it's like 10 delta for a token, which
Yeah.
is kind of
It's
sad.
more actually because of agony.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, but also-
yeah.
Yeah. Another thing you mind is that at least there's doesn't really feel like there's decent cohesion between Remnant and Resurrect. Agony leading into Remnant, leading into Resurrect, that Agony doesn't feel super cohesive to me. It feels like it's just a different thing that is also there in the kit for
Yeah,
lore reasons.
I think it's like a 5. I think if it wasn't like on both ends, it'd be more interesting. It's like more evened out kinetic energy, which is not good.
Yeah.
Um, Remnant. My problem with Remnant is the fact that you can't spend it again. After you resurrect, which like the cool part of Necromancer is like, oh, you lose your cards, but you still have some flexibility with your corpses, right? Here, nah, you just lose your game. You lose your gaming. After you lose all your remnants. That's kind of like sad.
It's
After you resurrect.
it's thematic to Ultimate Custom Night where Springtrap just fucking bum rushes you like 0.2 seconds.
Jesus. I remember
Alright.
playing that back in 6th grade.
Holy
Shit,
shit, am I old?
at the
Whatever.
library. At the public library. And like the kids, the elementary schoolers were behind me and were like, "What the hell are you doing?"
I
Alright,
was the guy that played rhythm games in the library, so I can't comment.
alright, let's go
They're
next.
like, "Is
We
that
have
the Bite of '87?"
Okay, let's move on. We're going on
Let's
to
move on,
let's
engagement.
move
We're going on to engagement, which we gave it. Drum roll. Gerald.
Oh, yeah, one second. Let me write down
Drum
the engagement
roll.
number.
It's 13.
Uh,
It's 13. It's 13. Yeah.
13 again. Woo!
Yeah. Okay. So,
Thank you.
Thanks, I guess.
all right. So 13 out of 20. Engagement. It's like fine. You can feel like you get some things to spend your resources on. The numbers getting so high does feel like something. You know, you're out there, you're getting hit for like 18 damage. You're just like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's damage.
You definitely like have to pay attention during the game, and as similar as the abilities are, it is like, you know, you don't always want to be hitting your you're rolling relatively fundamentally, so it's kind of like Black Panther, which is like Black Panther's fine, right? Like rolling like Black Panther is okay. And it doesn't really change too much from moment to moment. There's a little bit of like dancing with the agony and wanting to like not really hit 7 agony, because then you're not getting like the billion extra damage, or like, you know, you do want to hit it and you blow yourself up and then you don't take the 7 damage on the crackback. It's like, it's all fine. I guess it's less interesting than Black Panther, because with Black Panther you don't want to hit the explosion, and for this one, like, you're kind of indifferent. But yeah, it is like a fundamental. You're playing Dice Throne, you're beating up your opponent, and that's a good time in and of itself. Not good enough to earn more than 13 though.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt your gameplay. It doesn't help too much.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, we get elegance. Wait.
Cat.
Not finally, but elegant next. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
kinda-
yeah.
Hold that.
What?
Thank you.
I'll write it down. Gerald's
Yes.
dealing with the kitty cat. All right.
You're not supposed to lay down on my.
Who wants to talk about elegance?
Not me.
All right.
The leaflet is kind of bloated, but not much else there. And resurrect being half the leaflet certainly doesn't help for something that only sometimes kind of comes around.
Yeah.
Like, yes, resurrect takes up a lot of space on Necromancer, but he also has the whole second leaflet because of how much the corpse is such a core part of the character.
Mhm.
Outside of that, I guess everything just being numbers is elegant in a sense. He is very streamlined in that sense, in that he is just damage. Everything just kind of converts back into pure delta.
Yeah, so overall, like, there's not too much like extraneous in the kit. Oh, but it definitely does feel often like agony doesn't really contribute too much to the gameplay, and it's like it's a lot to keep track of that isn't as interesting as it really could be, right? Which I think is the biggest thing. Also, it's like this being 4 agony trigger here and this being a 7 agony trigger here. It's a bit messy, to be honest. All right.
And now.
So finally, let's go to uniqueness. 8 out of 15. Wow.
I mean,
It's it's punching.
Black Panther. It's Black Panther. I can't.
He is
It's
he is a
more.
Black Panther board, but he feels very much more like Barbarian
Yeah,
in that
it's like.
everything is just numbers and damage to you and damage to the opponent.
Yeah.
He's Barbarian on fast forward.
It's a bit funny because it's like, you know, you might expect that uniqueness is lower because it's such a relatively simple concept, but doing something this straightforward is not seen too much, actually. A lot of times people more complicate their stuff, and something like this, honestly, just unga bunga hit with the big stick, it's like, yeah, sure is. You're not going to get this super often with homebrews. I mean, it's not like you don't get this with official heroes, but yeah, overall, it's not the like, you know, if I wanted to play Springtrap in another hero, it's a little difficult, right? To get this exact experience of burning myself, setting myself on fire. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That overall amounts to 62 out of 20. I mean, 100. Close enough.
Yes.
We do have 2 awards for you.
I'll say them, I guess.
Yeah.
You, Mr. Springtrap, you have gained the awards for least. And as you could probably tell, since we've been laughing during this whole talking about the hero, you have gained the knee slapper.
Incredible.
Yes.
He is quite the silly little guy.
He's very, very silly. See, he's even got a smile right here. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. Wow. So, honestly, yeah, so
Yeah.
he very hits you. That's
Yes.
fine.
All right.
Thank you. A wipe up.
And let's go to our number 4 slots. Our number 4 character, and you might be able to tell just by me mousing over this and seeing the amount of components inside of it, is Shotgun King.
Shotgun King, the final checkmate.
My
It's Sliver Swarm. I mean, Shotgun King.
It's-
Shotgun King's the real Sliver Swarm.
yeah, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? We got Shotgun King running in at number 4. All right.
Sure, I'll explain it.
Holy
I
shit,
played
is that
the game.
Sans Undertale?
No, that's not Megalovania, that's Megalomania, the actual word. That would need to be a V.
Yeah.
By the way, this is hilarious. Just, if you don't have any teammates, or if you have teammates, remove them from the game.
Hell yeah.
You're playing in missions or whatever, and you're like,
No, you're not.
alright, let's... you're not with this character, but... I don't know. And you're like, yes, let's go play some missions. And then you pull out this guy, and it's like, oh. Anyway, actually describing the playstyle of this character. Have you ever played Shotgun King: The Final Checkmate? It is available on Steam. It is the exact same.
I'd say it's not exactly the same, but you know.
Oh, okay. You roll dice instead of move on a chessboard, but his primary mechanic, also the unique dice, or the unique cards, is these black cards and white cards. Is that the start of turn? So upkeep, conclusion of turn. So at the end of your turn, you will grab 2 black cards and 2 white cards. Set them up like so. Then, you, as Shotgun King, can pick one of these 2 sets of 2 and put them into play, setting the black card in front of yourself and setting the white card somewhere where everyone else can read. Black cards are passive effects, typically, that affect yourself, usually giving you bonuses. Some of them have prerequisites to require other black or white cards to be in play, in which case you just shuffle them back in. And white cards are passive effects, typically, that affect your opponents instead. All of them, if there are more than one. Along with that, there is his basic mechanics, like ammo, which can be used to add damage and sometimes do other stuff based on your black and white cards. He gets a lot of extra mechanics from these cards as well that allows him to spend his stuff in different ways. And then you have Frightened, which is Wither mostly, but it's Wither that upgrades to Parlay.
Yeah.
Also,
and
if they
also
activate a sub ability,
also
they
he
just
can sometimes
reroll.
just make all of his attacks undefendable.
Yep. Also, there's Aim. Sometimes he can just have undefendable attacks. Like, yeah.
Also,
'Cause he
there's
needs- 'cause-
souls.
Oh,
Because he
and then
needs
there's
another gimmick.
and there are soul cards, special cards in your deck that kind of are. This is a soul card. This is a soul card. This is a soul card.
Yep.
These. Well, and yeah, I'll just grab the other two. These are not soul cards. Soul cards are just special. They're just regular cards that, regular unique cards that sometimes are mentioned during, or for some of the cards in here.
And there are prerequisite cards.
Yes. Let me grab. Yeah.
And there are ammo synergies.
Yep, and there's ammo synergies. And there also...
And there's
1,
shadow
2, 3,
defense.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different extra tokens that you could potentially get from the black and or white cards. Also, all the black and white cards do very different things. One of them just kills you. Where is it?
That's a black card and you're in the white deck.
It is not a black card. It is a white card.
Oh.
It requires Revolution, which is a black card, I believe, but when played, you lose. The black card's effect of Revolution allows your opponent to pick your cards for you, and you get bonuses.
Lamau.
Yeah, and if that card is in play, then you can actually now get this card, and therefore you just kind of die.
Yeah, there's a lot to say, but let's talk about the scoring.
Yes, let's actually score this character.
Yeah, we've kind of established this basically that this is Dice Throne the roguelike, and he does a lot of nonsense.
After explaining all of those, let's go. Opponent fun. Whoa.
23.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously he's fun in the sense that there is just a lot of shenanigans happening on both sides of the table, and inherently that makes things kind of silly and kind of entertaining. But then on the flip side, it kind of goes back to the sliver thing, but worse, in that it's a bunch of different passes with a bunch of different time windows and a bunch of different effects that you have to keep track of at all the time, just to make sure that you didn't miss something.
Yeah, the aim difficulty is something I always forget.
Yeah,
I think I played maybe one game with remembering the aim difficulty.
It's such a small thing compared to everything else that something is going to fall through the cracks, and most of the time it ends up being the aim difficulty dial.
Yeah.
This show's super fun though when you start playing though. Like, oh,
There's so much dumb shit going on that it is a good time. And like, you know, seeing like, ooh, I'm playing against them, and like, what do I get? I get 3 extra cards, or every time I attack, I get like damage and combat points. That's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of like cool stuff that the the kit does for both players, and it doesn't fall into that same sort of issue as Sliver Storm, where it feels like you're being like completely choked out on value, because this isn't exactly scaling, right? This is scaling up both the players, so it works.
You're just able to use it better.
Yeah, you have more agency in it, but it works out pretty well.
It very much feels like Dice Throne Rainbow Edition, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the main issues come down to like just the fact that it's so complicated, it's hard to keep track of stuff, bumps it down, and also there are some of these that are like, you know, not perfectly balanced, that don't really result in coherent gameplay experiences, but with so much content, it's difficult to imagine that it could ever be balanced. Anyway.
Also, guaranteed value on ammo on the defense is like, huh?
Let's go. We get the
Mechanic and theme.
Wow.
Wow, let me write down the number. Wowee.
Oh my god.
14 out of 20.
420?
Hilarious.
Huh.
I'm glad we didn't have a 420, honestly. I think
Alright.
these guys are not that
I don't know, it's just
All right.
Easter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the day that the day after J.D. Vance murdered the Pope in cold blood.
That's definitely what happens.
Yeah. So, obviously, the mechanic is unique cards. Theme is most likely. I believe the theme is doomed.
The transformation, I believe.
Maybe.
I think it was doomed because of the game itself.
Maybe. Either way, the gameplay for Shotgun King, that like you are playing Shotgun King, the video game, as a board game. Like, good job.
I think the game just got a new update.
That's neither here nor there. Let's move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's grab the engagement number. So this is probably going to be the most surprising. Whoa!
14
Another
out of 20.
14.
Yeah.
14.
I don't think it's that surprising. It's pretty goofy.
Yeah.
For a character that has a large amount of passive effects, the engagement will end up to tend to not be as high. But with this character specifically, because of just how zany shit gets,
like it keeps engagement high in the sense that like you just probably just wanting to see what'll happen.
Yeah.
And usually very early game when everyone has like 1 or 2 cards, it's much more doable. But late game when you have 4 or 5 more than that black and white cards, it just becomes an absolute fucking slog to get through your turn and to do much of anything, because you constantly need to refer back to 10 or so extra cards that may or may not have an effect that apply at any given moment.
Yeah. At the very least, these will primarily make the game go on faster, right? Like, there are some that don't, but you don't really have full control over what happens, and it's not like you're encouraged to make the game drag on either.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, it works out all right. And it doesn't feel like, it typically feels like your decisions will matter and impact the outcome of the game, which is a big thing. That you have agency, right? Like, this board isn't so difficult that you lack agency. And you really do want that agency because of how much your cards are going to impact how you play, right? So overall, very good time to play. It's maybe a bit much, but, you know, overall it works out. Elegance. I'm not... yeah, go ahead, write down elegance.
Yeah, let me write down elegance. We've got...
We calculated this out in the lab. We measured this objectively.
Oop. Is it a... No, it's a 4.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
14. It's not a 14.
For
Elegant.
do we need to go over this? Like,
I
I
think we-
love having 10 passives.
it's definitely a lot going on.
Well, okay. This is also a passive.
But 11,
Yeah,
12.
yeah.
frightened is basically another passive.
You don't need all
There's a-
these status effects, I think.
Yeah, these could also have passive effects.
I think aim difficulty could go. I think that the soul system could probably go. I think the requirement cards could definitely go. These are like really annoying to track. There's a lot of things that I don't think are really contributing, but overall it's fine. It works as is. It's just like there's just so much stuff in the kit that doesn't really lead to all that good of gameplay overall.
It is insanely maximalist.
So finally, we get the uniqueness.
Their power level is maximum. Here's a 12.
Yeah. So Walk, I feel like you'd want to talk about uniqueness. Walk, I'm gonna bully you.
It's another one of. It's another one. Oh my god. Yeah, I've seen it before. Like
It's
2
Yami
slideshows
Yugi
ago.
like.
I was
Oh
gonna
my
say-
god. The sheer amass of the things I can do. First of all, 9, 10, 11. Holy shit. 11 whole status effects. Didn't we say 9 earlier?
I don't know. It was like
I
a
think we
billion.
Yeah, about 2 bajillion.
Yeah.
Once again, we've got the freaking cards that do the thing. So it's like the passive building. We saw that like 2 slideshows ago, right? In Sliver Swarm.
2
Except
slideshows ago.
this time, you also give it to your opponent, which is like freaking awesome. Your opponent gets to play the game too. You get to do all the dumb shit. And this time around, rather than you kind of like build it from an either or standpoint. So you don't get everything. You don't get everything, unlike Sliver Swarm, which you will play everything, or like Yami Yugi, in which you will get everything you want. Here, you don't get everything you want all the time, which is fine. It's cool. It's more fun that way. Yeah, it's pretty unique in that aspect. It actually makes you choose between options, while also being like a passive builder, and it's also a Yami Yugi like. I don't know. It's not been done too much before, but the parts have been done.
So
Yeah.
okay, that puts you at a cool 67 out of 50.
Out of
100. Sorry, I'm so bad at remembering what 100 is. We do have 2 awards for you. Most. Sorry, go on.
I would like to announce the awards, if that is okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
You
Sure.
have gained the awards. Did not expect to be fun. And the most award.
Most.
Yes. The
Most.
most.
For
It is definitely
again,
the most.
self-evident reasons.
Yep. I mean, we had the least award. We might as well have the most award.
Yeah.
All right. You know that concludes part 2.
Sweet.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, manga.
Cowabunga.